Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Welcome back to the show where we interview the nation's leading real estate entrepreneurs. It's your host, Stephen Schmidt, and I'm here today with Andrew Boccia. He is a former professional poker player turned real estate investor, and we're going to hop into all things money and what he's doing in the private money space within real estate investing and his expertise. We'll see where the conversation goes. I'm just super excited that he's taken some time, carved that out this afternoon to talk with us. So before we do that, just remember at Investor Fuel, we help real estate investors, service providers, and real estate entrepreneurs 2 to 5x their businesses, which allows them to build the businesses they've always wanted, to allow them to live the lives they've always dreamed of. With that being said, Andrew, welcome to the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You bet, man. I'm really excited to get into our topic today, but let me ask you this. Before we do that, can you give us a little bit of background? You're a former professional poker player, turned real estate investor, very, very interesting history that you have, traveling all over the world playing poker, online space, all that. Can you just tell us like what got you started in real estate, when that transition happened? Were you still playing poker? And then how did you get to where you're at now doing, private money primarily?
Yeah, so I would have to say it started back in 2004, 2005. There was something in poker called the Moneymaker boom. It's when Chris Moneymaker won the World Series of Poker. He was an accountant from Tennessee. He won like a $15 tournament on PokerStars to get into the big tournament in Vegas. And then he won that big tournament in Vegas and turned it into like $1 million or whatever from $15. And it was on TV. It was on ESPN. So it was a pretty big story. And then poker had just come on the internet. And so, if you're in middle school at the time or in high school, you're thinking, wow, that seems pretty easy. I could do that too. A lot of money. You can kind of do what you want to do on your own time. So anyway, I played in middle school and in high school little $5 games. I've always been very competitive, very numbers driven, very, very competitive, played a lot of sports, played baseball, played football, but, I don't have the body for football. And baseball, I can't hit a 70-mile-an-hour curve, but in poker, you can use your brain. And luckily for me, with enough study, I found out I was pretty good at it. So I just really went all in on, no pun intended, on learning poker all throughout high school. I remember I had a summer job as a roofing contractor, picking up shingles off of rich people's, landscaping. And then I did a summer of busing, and I was playing poker on the side on PokerStars, and I over like a long period of hands, I was making like $10 an hour as a busboy, and playing poker on the internet, I'm making like $25 an hour over an average of like the past 3 to 6 months. And I'm like making twice as much. It's a lot of fun.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
And I see a path to grow a lot in that industry where I can just keep climbing up in stakes, up and up and up. So pretty much an uncapped ceiling for where you can go, kind of like real estate, where you can flip one house this year, you can do 10 houses the next year, and you can buy a friggin' apartment in year 3. So it kind of had that same upward mobility, that same like uncapped earning ability for me, which was very attractive. So I went in, I didn't go to college. I bought a house right out of high school. So if you remember what the housing market was in 2007, we were at the peak of the market. I got one of those crazy loans that shouldn't have existed. So I graduated high school in 2006. I buy a house in 2007. So I have no credit. I have no cash. And for capacity, for my job, I'm a professional gambler with basically no experience, like 1 year of experience. And so that was my loan file at the time.
Right.
And, somehow this thing got approved, and I was in one of those arms, where now I get to the closing table. I actually read the amortization schedule. Right. It starts me off at 7.25%, and I'm asking the closer, like, why does my interest rate go up to 11%? And they just said, just refinance. It'll be fine. I was like, all right. And I wanted the house. I signed the paperwork. I actually paid the thing off, but a lot of people didn't. And so that's kind of what caused a big crash. I had tunnel vision, though. I was so locked in on poker, like I wasn't even paying attention to the real estate market. My payment going from $1,700 a month to $2,200 a month, like I just didn't care. It didn't move the needle for me. I was really locked in on getting very good at poker. I played on the internet. I did a lot of studying. I actually lived with other poker players, and I would rent them rooms, and we would, challenge each other's thoughts. We'd run simulations, all this kind of stuff. There was a community at the time called 2+2, which is kind of like the Bigger Pockets equivalent of online gambling. It's where you go to learn how to be good at it. And there's basic content there, but then there was also advanced content on 2+2. So it's basically it was the Bigger Pockets equivalent in the online gambling world, in the advantage gambling world. So long story short, I bought a house in Michigan that I didn't qualify for at all on paper. Lived there for a couple of years. Then I moved to Vegas because I figured, what the heck, if you're going to be doing this, Vegas is a good place to live, a good place for networking. Did a couple years in Vegas and said, this lifestyle is a little much. I moved to Miami. In Miami, I lived in Miami in 2011, and actually the government shut down Full Tilt Poker, PokerStars, and Absolute Poker. So you'd go to PokerStars.com. There's a big FBI badge on the screen. So they seized all 3 domains and basically said, hey, if you want to play poker, you can't do it from the States any longer. So now they basically reinterpreted like an old law on the books called the Wire Act. So now if you go to open up a bank statement or a bank account, you have to sign like a thing that says, I'm not going to be gambling online with this, bank account. That didn't exist before 2011. The DOJ kind of went in and went a little crazy. So anyway,
is that essentially on like every bank account? Like if you're getting a bank account in the States and people just don't even know it because it's not even
it's
applicable.
Just one of those disclosures you sign, you don't think of, but this is why it's out there. And it's all from that 2011 reinterpretation of the Wire Act. Essentially what happened was, if you were playing poker professionally, you did one of two things. You either use the VPN to lie about your location, or you'd move overseas. And, I'm not really.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
A person that misleads and does that kind of stuff. I'm sort of by the book on most things.
Sure.
I moved overseas. I didn't want to play on a VPN and do all this craziness and try to get around the rules. So I moved to Thailand for a year and a half to keep playing. Bought a little scooter out there. Pretty crazy, lifestyle out there. Then I did about a year and a half in Budapest. And then I did a year in Malta. And so that gets me maybe 6 months. After that run, that was about an 8-9 year run of playing poker on the internet. I kind of decided like it's not a very fulfilling thing to do for the rest of your life. The issue with poker is for you to win, someone else has to lose. It's essentially a zero-sum game. It's actually a negative-sum game because the house is taking a rake. So meaning you, Steven, have to lose $100, and someone else has to lose $100, and someone else has to lose $100, and I don't win $300. I might make $200 after the casino rake. So it's kind of a negative way to live your life. Not to mention the emotional swings and the wear and tear it takes on you. You lose 40 grand one day and you make 50 the next. You lose 20 the next. You basically lose like natural thoughts. You I don't know. You lose your natural emotions. You get very desensitized to money, where like money won't affect you at all. Bad things will happen to you. It won't affect you. Good things will happen to you. It won't affect you because
why is that?
Because basically through poker, you learn that if you are emotional, it will weaken your thought process when it goes into making a decision. And there's an economic cost to that. And so you have to train yourself to basically, when something good happens, you don't react in a optimistic manner, and when something bad happens, you don't react in like a pessimistic manner. You keep the same robotic thought pattern and the same discipline that goes into each decision.
Because even your opponent, like it's like what I've heard in the past, where it's like you could literally get so good at reading someone else that like a vein popping just slightly or a sweat trickling, just like stuff like that. How true are those statements?
The reading players thing is like more of a movie thing, and it's more for live poker. I played on the internet, so I would play.
Which is more statistical? Is that
right? I'd have 3 screens up, 20 tables. I'd be playing with hotkeys, and I'd still read people, but it was pattern based.
Right.
It was, hey, I've played 20,000 hands with the guy, and he never check raises the river as a bluff. Or, cut off first button. When I open, he doesn't re-raise with small suited connectors. It's always high card hands or whatever. So it was more about pattern recognition. It wasn't so much like how it is in Hollywood, where if they do the one thing the weird way, like now they have a king and a jack. It was more about understanding the type of player they were and the patterns that they did. And that would sometimes influence how you'd play your hand. So did that for quite a while. And it was a good run. I met a lot of good friends through poker. But I in 2014, I moved from Europe back to Florida and decided to give real estate a go. I kind of wanted to have a career with a higher ceiling. That's the other thing. The best poker player in the world makes maybe 7 figures, which is a good living, but literally that's like best in the world.
Right.
And if you're best in the world at real estate, you're doing way more than that.
Sure.
So it has a low ceiling.
And you're not having to take, because I think that's what you were saying too about the fulfilling piece. Like,
if you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, no matter what, you're taking someone else's livelihood if you're a winner.
Yeah.
And the person that always wins is the casino at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, in poker, yeah, the casino has a rake in poker, but because it's player versus player, they allow advantage gamblers. But if you're an advantage gambler in blackjack or roulette or craps, something like that, they're not going to let you play. They'll just decline your business because the house is losing. So if you're an advantage gambler in blackjack, because you're counting cards, the house is losing. But if you're an advantage gambler in poker, the house isn't losing. The house still makes a rake. The loser is the other human person in the pot.
The sucker, for lack of a better,
the fish.
for lack
we
of
call
better,
them fish, donkeys, sucker, exactly. Yeah,
I love it. Wow. Man, this is fascinating. So you decided to come back. Why did you choose real estate? Was that a logical decision that you made based on statistics, or what was it about real estate?
I think it had to do with my roots. So my parents were both public school teachers for their whole career, but my mom would do real estate investing like every summer. So she'd buy like a flip, and we'd be out there as kids, making $2 an hour, tearing out, doing demo, this kind of stuff. And we did some Habitat for Humanity projects as kids. And just growing up, like our home was always getting remodeled. So my parents, specifically my mom, invested as an income supplement on top of a teacher's salary. Didn't do it professionally, but managed to accumulate a couple of rentals on a teacher salary and do a couple of flips here and there during summer when she was off and when we were off. So I think that was probably the spark that said, hey, there's this thing we can do to create money where you can stay self-employed. And what if I actually just do it professionally and spend all my time at doing it well? What could the result be? And so I just kind of started, first 2 years, I started buying houses, duplexes, single family homes, doing flips, making basically every mistake you can make. That's how I learn. I just learned through lots of deals, lots of action. I remember I did a ground up loan for a spec home with no experience, and I did a Dutch interest loan on my ground up house, and I switched my plans twice, and I switched my contractor 3 times. So, so I took some scars in those first 2 years, just sort of investing on my own, but I had some wins too. But I basically put all my poker savings in play during those first couple of years. And then I said, you know what? I can actually do real estate for the long haul. I'm kind of enjoying this. I think I'm pretty good at it. So I created a fund where other investors could invest alongside me. And that fund is called Central Florida Income Fund, and it remains open today. So we're a Reg D, 506C, accredited investor only kind of thing. And our net to our investors has been 15% average, with some years good, some years not so good, but average has been about 15%. And then we just launched Fund 3, which is credit only. So it's a credit only fund where we just do private loans to other investors. So the poker thing is like the more interesting story, but the real estate I'm actually more passionate about. So
of course,
now
what part of Florida are you in? What part of Florida are you in?
So we're based out of Lakeland. We bought a office building in Lakeland, Florida.
Yeah.
So it's halfway between Tampa and Orlando. Not everyone knows where that's at, but yeah, Tampa is a big city. Orlando's a big city. Lakeland's about halfway in between the two.
Right.
It's kind
Over
of
near Plant City.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, So, we're a 2-hour drive from 10 million people. So it's kind of an
Right.
interesting little area here. I
Right.
got both major MSAs that I can get to. I like the location. The cost of living is not too high out here, but it is getting pretty hot. So it's starting.
Yeah, I mean, you say cost of living isn't too high. What you don't know about me is I moved back to Kansas from Melbourne, Florida, a couple years back because of the cost of living, and I couldn't stop having kids with my wife.
Yeah.
So it's funny because we actually looked at Lakeland and then Lutz out there on the west side to check out. And part of the reason is just reminding me I've got a friend of mine still out there in the Melbourne, Port St. Lucie area. His name is Jeff, who he actually owns a vape shop, but he actually was or still is a professional poker player and does real estate too. So I'm like, man, what is it about professional poker players that get into real estate? You don't have a vape shop though, right?
No, I don't think I will.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but it's interesting. There's a lot of similarities. I mean, it's a results-based business,
Right?
Where kind of it doesn't matter if you work 10 hours a week or 100 hours a week. You're compensated based on results.
Right.
There's also some luck. I hate to say it, but there's a little bit of luck.
A sliver
In
for
both.
sure.
Now, real poker has more luck in each hand. I mean, literally, you're 60%. You're just going to lose 40% of the time. Real estate is like, okay, I'm buying a flip today. I have imperfect information. It might be a home run. It might be a single or a double. And you kind of don't know what the market will be like in 8 months when you sell the thing.
Right.
So, but yeah, it's a results-based, self-employed business. You're putting a lot of capital at work. You're trying to decide how much capital to put at risk on any one bet or deal. So yeah, there's a few characteristics that are similar.
So So you got to start. By the way, I want to go back to one of the first things you said in the show because it stood out to me, and we got all a little off in the weeds. But when you bought your house in Michigan in 2007, right before the crash, basically, you mentioned you paid that house off. Was that because you were just raking in the dough with poker, or did they call your loan to come together, or what happened?
I don't know if raking in the dough is the right way to phrase it, but
sure.
I mean, I think I paid like $230, and I mean, this poor neighborhood I was in, like it's in Rochester Hills, Michigan, which is like one of the nicest cities to live in. And I mean, my neighbors, I feel so bad for them. We basically turned that thing into a frat house.
Yeah.
Except we didn't go to college, so it was even worse. We were home all day playing poker on our computers. The garage was disgusting. It was halfway filled up with pizza boxes because no one would want to actually. We had like 6 feet of pizza boxes in our garage, like
That's
end
amazing.
to end. So you couldn't actually pull your car into the garage. I remember I woke up one day. We had some friends over and had a good time, and there was a pizza slice upside down on my neighbor's roof, and another pizza slice upside down on my other neighbor's swing set, like where their kids would go, swinging and playing. Just like, this is not good, man. This is I don't know what you say about that. I mean, you're 19, you don't really know what you're doing, but yeah, not good. So,
right.
But anyway, being in an adjustable rate mortgage, the climb from a $1,700 payment to a $1,900 payment to a $2,100 payment, like I didn't really feel it because I was in such an aggressive capital industry. Like poker, I was 1 month I'm making 10,000, the next month I'm losing 3, the next month I'm making 20. Like it was just kind of, I didn't feel the arm going up 1%. Where my payment would go up $100. Like it just wasn't that interesting compared to how much I was earning and losing and up and down, and my normal swings.
The desensitization that you talked about to just money. And it's like, that's just what I got to play to pay.
I was doing well enough to handle the arm adjustments.
Yeah.
But
and
a lot
on
of
top of
people
that, you were
got in
renting the
trouble.
rooms, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So no, I didn't. I was able to actually pay the loan off. I actually just paid the arm on schedule. I believe I paid it on schedule for a couple of years and tried to do a refinance. I honestly can't remember. But yeah, the loan was performing the whole way, and I eventually sold it. My first experiment as an investor, well, I did room rentals as a poker player to other poker players. Wouldn't recommend that. If they had a good
Sure.
month, I'd get paid, and if they didn't, it was rough. But I moved away, and I didn't necessarily want to sell the house. I was like, well, it'd be cool to own some real estate. And so I hired a property management company to manage the house. I remember I paid I think I paid the entire first month's rent, which was a little steep. It was like $1,800, and then I paid 10% of the rent. So like the full first month rent and then 10%, which now I know better, especially in a good area. This was in a good area, so those fees are
Right.
a little higher. But I'm a client with one door, so I don't know if I can negotiate it very much. But
Not a lot of pull.
yeah, but they charged me entire first month's rent and then 10%, and then the tenants beat the crap out of the house. So looking back, I don't know if that was a great idea, because I did rent it for a couple of years, and then when I wanted to sell it, I had to do a bunch of work remote to get a decent amount. So, not a great real estate investment. More just a rent supplement. A place to live and work out of.
Right. A place to learn your first hard lessons, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
let's transition a little bit and talk about what you're passionate about now within private money.
Yeah, so right now, there's a lot of giants in private money. You've got Chiavi's obviously dominating the industry. There's a lot of national lenders. We've carved out a nice niche doing sort of loans that the big boys can do, just quicker than them and with more certainty of execution, because I literally look at every deal by hand before we qualify it. And then, so our customers know that it's not going to get blown up over a technicality. New investors are going to rate shop you and shop you for points and leverage. The more seasoned guys will work in certainty of execution with cost of capital and make an educated decision. And that doesn't mean we always win. We don't necessarily beat the 100% lenders because we don't offer 100%. But for certain borrowers, they kind of like dealing with a private shop. They like the relationship. So we bring a little something different to the market. But where we've really carved out a niche is smaller loans. There aren't a lot of lenders that do loans under 75K. So in Arkansas and in some of these Midwest markets, you get or in South Carolina, you get these deals where the loan amount is 70K, and a lot of the national guys can't do that. So we've carved out a niche plugging that gap. The other gap we plug is small purchase, high rehab. So 50K purchase, 80K rehab. A lot of lenders that'll destroy their algorithm. And if I see a guy with 800 credit and he's got 36 rental properties, I don't care that the rehab is a little more than the purchase price. We're just going to fund it. And so we think that basically our strategy is funding common sense loans that look good, where we feel risk is mitigated, but where the big box lenders don't have an appetite for it. So that's kind of, and of course we can do the cookie cutter stuff, and our pricing's pretty comparable, but our niche is funding stuff that's just outside the Wall Street box, where we can charge a nice price premium, but then there's still investor demand because there aren't a lot of competitors funding those deals. And so I have a lot more power. It's tough for me to negotiate against Chiavi on a cookie cutter deal where purchase is 100, rehab's 30. I got to be at 10 and 1 to win that deal on a high credit borrower, which I can do. That's fine. But when purchase is 50 and rehab 70, and it's in South Carolina, there aren't exactly a lot of lenders lined up to fund those deals. So I can be at 12 and 3 and have a lot less price resistance, and also offer less leverage. I can deliver a higher return to my investors, and also supply the market with the capital they need to do those deals. So we're kind of competing for the main street sort of deals in the big cities, but we're also sort of doing these, I would say, non-institutional grade quality loans. And that doesn't mean the loan is bad. It just means it doesn't fit a lot of what the big shops offer. We also fund apartments, 5 to 20 unit. That seems to be like a pretty good niche to be in as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what's like some of the big differences? I know you touched on a couple of them, but I want to dive a little bit further in there, like compared to like Kiavi, for example. When is someone going to come to you versus going to Kiavi outside of like your typicals, like a bridge loan, a DSCR, et cetera? Well, like what are the ones that you really help with?
Kiavi's a very good lender when they're on. They've built a machine over there, and I have immense respect for the business they've built. I mean, I would love to build a business like that someday. You would come to us, for example, like after COVID, right? They were shut off for about 3 months, reorganizing their funding. I never missed a funding during that period. So if they're out of the market because of a black swan event, you have to come to someone like us who's more private.
Right.
Also, when hurricanes come through Florida and certain lenders shut down for a month or two to kind of evaluate the storm or this or that, we live in Florida. Like, we will hunker down for a hurricane for a day and a half, and then we're sending wires the next day. So we don't do these like long pauses during hurricane season. We're still good. We're not going to be stupid during a natural disaster, but we're very nimble. So we'll adapt very quickly, communicate quickly, and fund, right away. So yeah, I mean, again, it's the private thing versus more of the main street angle. I hate to say that we're like subprime, but we will fund lower credit deals at a lower leverage and at an increased price.
Sure.
So if you have like a 640 FICO, for example, we might haircut your loan 10%, charge an extra point, but at the end of the day, we'll get it done, where it might not fit the AI underwriting. Apartments, they don't fund apartments. I don't think they fund low purchase, high rehab. And rural markets, I've heard maybe for VIPs, they might fund them, but for normal borrowers, they might not. So they have a great platform. I think I tell my borrowers this. I say, you should be diversified in your own selfish best interest. Even if I'm getting all your deal flow, I might not be here next year. So you should have 2 or 3 relationships, maybe an institutional guy, maybe a bank or credit union where you keep all your accounts, and then maybe a couple of, private hard money guys that have sort of a fund. So you want to have like different options, because when the market shuts off, that's when there's blood in the streets, and that's when there's a lot of opportunity. And during COVID, it was crazy because nobody was lending. So all these brokers couldn't fund any deals because they couldn't find anyone. So I'm getting people at 800 credit, putting 50% down, and I'm charging them like 5 points and 13% because there's no one else is funding a loan. It's crazy.
Wow.
So you want to have a lot of options before you need them.
Right. It's all about the relationships.
Yep.
100%. Man, well, this has been a great episode. We've gone all over the map. Let me ask you this, Andrew. For our listeners, if they want to learn more about you, connect with you, where should they go for that?
So I'm on Instagram as Hard Money Drew, but our company is Central Lending. So the domain is simply centrallending.com. If you want us to take a look at your deal and price it out and quote it for you.
There you go. Go check him out. Hard Money Drew on social. And if you're in need of building another relationship in the lending space, go check him out at www.centrallending.com. And until then, for our next episode, we'll see you then. Thanks again, Andrew, for being here. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. And we'll see y'all in the next one, y'all.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.